Just like to call the meeting to order. Regular meeting for the Moose Lake City Council, Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. And I'd like to start with a Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everyone for coming and those at home. The first item is the agenda, and I do have one addition. We have a guest here, Ken Larson, who will be speaking about the arch that we have out in the parking lot here. And Ken, after the public comment number 3, I'll get you in so that you could present to us, and then you can leave at your pleasure. You're welcome to stay if you want after that.
Okay.
So if everyone can see under between 2 and 3, Mr. Larson. With that, do we have any other changes or additions to the agenda? Hearing none, do we have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to consent agenda. On 2A minutes, we have number 1, the special meeting minutes for Wednesday, May 27th. Number 2 is the regular meeting minutes for Wednesday, June 10th. Number 3, special meeting minutes Wednesday, June 17th. Number 4, regular meeting minutes Wednesday, July 8th. And number 5, special meeting minutes for Wednesday, October 7th. Do I have any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on, consent agenda 2B, financial reports. Number 1 is the city accounts payable for September 2020. Number 2 is the city financial statements for September 2020. And number 3 is the liquor store profit loss statement for September 2020. Do you have any questions or comments on the financial reports? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Take one or the other, I'll second the answer.
Greg, second. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Mr. Larson, could you please come up to the podium? I think is everybody right here, Ken?
Yeah, I just have
Great, thank you.
for you to pass around.
I think as everybody knows, Ken was the one who designed and actually built the terracotta arch
Well,
with his wife, and they've done a great job.
yeah, better acknowledge the other half. I won't be here long. Good afternoon. I just was going through some stuff and looked at the clock and said, I gotta get into town. But I just wrote this stuff up. I thought I'd get my thoughts in order and what we have done over the years. It was installed in September of 2014, I think. And it's taken a while to establish what the thing needs for any kind of maintenance. And over the years, it's had 3 coats of sealer, I think. It hasn't had anything, I didn't do anything to it, or haven't done anything for 2 years to it. It had initially had some firing cracks, which I stabilized, and the good news there is they appear to have stayed, they haven't changed any. There is a metal framework on the inside of it and inspection ports on the top. I have opened those a number of times, and the only thing that I've found from opening the inside and something I never really knew about when we designed it is that something like that breathes, and it'll take in warmer, moisture air during the day, and at night it will condense. So initially we found that the thing was developing some condensation inside. I added some vent holes, and just in the last week I've added one more vent hole, and that seems to allow the thing to get rid of that moisture. Over the years, I have on the list here a couple things that we've used for retouching. On local advice, I got some one-shot sign paint for retouching, which we've used drops of, but the stuff is expensive even for a 4-ounce jar of it. And some diamond drill bits, which we use ourselves in our own work, and it's just, they're expendable. They last a time or two, and then you throw them away. So just for this year, what we have done, we've done a pretty complete cleaning and inspection and sealing, retouching, and drilling one more vent hole. I guess we put in 8 hours into it. And on that piece of paper that I handed around, I have some suggestions for yearly cleaning and for every other year. What I'd like to see about, if you were to have an art conservator take a look at this, it's going to be really expensive. And most of the money spent on artwork occurs or does not go into the artist's pocket. Over the years, it's spent on insurance and maintenance and other things like that. So as far as finding somebody to take care of this in the future, I would like to check with the local art teachers, local high schools, possibly with the university, but a lot of these things meeting with these people is awkward in these times. And finding somebody to take their time on something like this is it's hard to figure out what to do about it. I'm thinking about it though. So, any questions?
I've got a question on it, with the procedure that you have, is that something you could train somebody on staff here to do?
Yeah, I think so. It's a matter of finding somebody that wants to take the time and the patience to do something right rather than just check off the boxes.
Uh-huh. Katie.
Did you say Katie? Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
I can see that it is with the time that you spent, that there is some critical effort put into this. And we do want to keep that. It's a beautiful piece. If it is possible, I would think this time of year isn't good, but in next spring or summer, to set up a training session and then
Yeah,
even look at maybe every couple of years have more of an expert, if you're not available, somebody else.
well, I would like to explore the possibilities of maybe finding like a grad student up at UMD as a possibility.
Uh-huh.
But, there's nothing that needs to be done immediately to it. And we've got time, but it shouldn't be put off forever also.
Sure.
Some of us have noticed that the hills are getting a little steeper. So,
Yeah. All right, well, I think we got a little bit of a plan then, but next spring, then I'll contact you to see if we can set up training with an employee. And then do you want to make the contacts with
Yeah,
the university, or would you like us to?
I can try to do that, because I would hope that I know what to say to them.
Sure.
But also, the thing about bringing somebody in from the outside is that what we've found, like this year, to do a really complete job, it occurred over a number of days, because you can't hurry some of these things. And that's where having somebody more local would be a whole
Sure.
lot better.
Very good.
Thank you.
We also did video what we have done so far, and when I get that put together, I'll bring that in.
Great.
So
Appreciate it.
just a matter of taking the computer time to figure out the editing process more than anything else.
Okay. Well, appreciate that, Ken.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in, and you're welcome to stay, or you can leave. Thank you.
That's
Good choice.
There's much to do at home
You bet.
before it freezes up
Yeah.
this weekend.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That's something Katie and I will have to discuss next spring. Moving on to public comment, number 3. This time is reserved for comments from the public on matters not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Hearing none, we'll move on to number 4. Departmental reports. Police Chief.
Mayor, members of the council, I'll just run through the report here first, and then I got a few other things just to go over real quick. It's been pretty busy here the last month or so, a few weeks, but if you look at our calls for service report, we had 284 calls, 10 of those calls are for MSOP. MSOP right now, towards the end of this last month, we've had 25 hours put into cases that are going on there, and we will well exceed that this next month coming up. We've got a couple bigger cases going on inside there that might attract even some media attention coming up, but it's taken a lot of time. So we've had pretty much one of our officers working on that stuff, most of the time. and weekly, we can get more and more cases coming and get dropped off at that point as well. So, in addition to those 24 hours, we've had 2 hours for ECRC at the Department of Corrections. If you look at the pie chart that was sent out, things are relatively the same. 63 for extra patrols, 65 traffic stops, 26 community engagement. And as far as responding goes, we had 27 assists to other agencies. That's up a little bit from previous months. 83 calls for service and 20 medical calls. On a good news, our new policy manual is complete and done. You guys do have access as a city council. I think Katie's probably sent some stuff out to you, and I think I've sent out some of the access things so you guys can get on there if you ever want to look. Once we get our webpage and everything done and updated, we'll probably have a copy on there for anybody else that wants to view what our policy is for the police department and the direction that we want to go. It's been a long process, but I think we got it done fairly quick. And I know the officers are going through it now. There are daily training bulletins that are coming out, making sure they understand the policy, so they're going to be tied up reading some of those for a while, but I'm glad it's done. I think it was a good move on your part to go with that, and I think we'll be set. Since I've already kicked it out, we've already had updates and changes, so that's how fast those things are coming. Also in your packet, I sent out a thing on MOCIC. As far as the thing, Katie and I decided that we were going to move forward with this. It's $100 a year, but they offer a ton of resources. So for a small agency like ours, on one of our investigations we're working on now, we were able to get equipment from them, whether it's some buy money or other funds that are available, training, some of the analytical stuff, and even some of the flow charts and graphs. We have one case now that's connecting to a lot of different things, and they will chart all that stuff for us to keep it straight and do a lot of things. So for $100 a year, it's even the equipment that we're getting to use that we don't have to buy, I think is a big deal. Saturday, October 24th is a big push for the drug buyback. That's going to be going on. Our department, we still have the green box in there, so it isn't going to be so specific that you do it on that day. Right now, our new administrative assistant is there from Monday through Thursday from 8 to 2. So our lobby is back open, so people can stop and drop those off, but we will be shipping those back off for the incinerator here towards the end of this month. We have our next ATV meeting scheduled for next Wednesday. So I know we've had a few people from the public start showing up at a few of those with either questions or concerns, and I know I have a meeting again later this week to go through some of the trail areas around here in the city. We still are getting some complaints coming in on some of the ATV traffic, mostly up by the depot in that area, but I think it's tapering off a little bit. The hard thing is now is all the game wardens are tied up with all the hunting things that are going on, so we have less of that resource in town. So I've also attached kind of a draft letter that I had that I think maybe the start of next spring with all the ATV stuff, some of the rules, regulations that we might want to kick out to the public at the start of next season. There'll probably be a couple other things left to go with that, so it's just kind of there for your review. Another thing that I'm just looking into now too, in the direction that we might go, how everything keeps changing, it's more automated things, and now with COVID and everything else, some of the online citizen reporting, there's some programs that will interface well with Zerker that we're using now, so that might be an option as we go through some of these things, that people will be able to go on and report crimes through that, and then it goes right to the officer's phone as well, because when they're out of the office right now and they're calling on our phone, it's just sitting there. So it just gives them another option and more detail, and I'll dig into that further, but that's just kind of another thing as far as if anything's coming up, you have some other ideas on direction that we're going, just to kind of meet the needs. People are even calling and asking, well, it'd be nice to have some of these forms, in an online, version. So something that we're looking at doing. And then currently we've been still paying and using, or not really using, the SHIELD system, which is the old, like we have Zerker now that law enforcement's been using. Katie and I have talked about it, and there's really no use for that anymore. So I contacted St. Louis County, and that we're going to be canceling that, which will be a cost savings for us as well. There's no reason for us to. Everything's been downloaded into the Zerker system now. So there's no need for that to continue. But other than that, it's just been a couple other long cases going on right now that we're working on, but yeah, everything else is going pretty smooth.
Thanks a lot, Chief.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate your efforts on those policies. That's a very short turnaround to go through all those and get the update and new employee and training, and that's a lot. It's greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
Please pass it on to the crew because they're
Yeah, I
doing a
will.
great job.
Yep, I will, appreciate it. Thanks for the support.
I'd like to thank you for bringing in these ATV rules. I think there's a lot of lack of knowledge by the public out there on what the actual rules are, and it's nice to see some of these. I wonder if the city, some way, obviously ATV season's kind of coming to a close here with winter coming on, but last year I had put up some pictures of the ATV trails and the bike trails in town and stuff like that. I was wondering if the DNR has a website that has all the ATV rules, something that we could put up on Channel 7 that says if you go to this website, you can access the rules and the regulations and,
Yep.
and things like that.
Yeah,
You could put that up like below one of the pictures on Channel 7 or something like that, try to get some of the information out there.
yeah,
Maybe put some of the basic information on there. I got a question for you for the Class 1 ATVs. That's just the regular ATVs.
Correct.
They have to still travel in the ditch and along the county road, or are they allowed?
the county roads, the county's adopted a thing where they can travel on the shoulder, the right-hand portion of the road.
Is the shoulder?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, you know, like here, and like you said, it's just more of this education piece. So many of them that we're stopping or whatever that are just driving right down the main lane of the road, you know, they can't do that on any road,
Yeah.
you know?
And if we had something like this that you have written up here on a brochure or something that we could hand out at the campgrounds and
Yep.
stuff like that to try to get some of that information. I don't know, I think maybe Katie has had a plan to do that and that, but just to let the public know what the rules are. And Moose Lake has some different rules than that, like what the speed limit is that. I'd just like to try to get that out to the public.
Yeah,
And I thought that Channel 7 might be one way to do that.
yeah, I can talk with Roy, we can get that stuff on there, but, yeah, and as far as, getting the stuff out, this letter will be one that we're probably looking at very similar, getting out in the paper, and then we're also gonna be drafting as part of our ATV meetings, a whole packet of things for all the different areas that are here, and then even some of the kiosk things in major locations by the depot area, different parking lots where people are gathering to go on and kicking these things out for education to people. So we will be having, and even the campground when they come in, and whoever our person is at the campground that's checking them in, when you see the ATVs on the back, here's a packet, maybe explain a few of the things to them, and hopefully we can start next year off, you know, on the right foot, but,
Yeah,
you know, it's-
those sound like good ideas.
yeah, no, appreciate it, thank you. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Katie, Public Works Superintendent report.
I have a lot more here than Phil does, so I'm gonna try to do half as good as he does. Water Department distributed 3.9 million gallons of drinking water in September. They did do the hydrant flushing and they are all ready for winter. And then the well house is underway and going well. I'll touch on one topic in the engineer's report regarding the well house. Sewer Department collected 10.2 million gallons of wastewater. They will begin the fall discharge next week. And he wrote in here, I forgot to tell you about this, sorry, meaning me. He was nominated to be a part of an interview for the MPCA for their monthly newsletter to explain the city's success with the pipelining and the differences that we are noticing. So that's huge. I feel like that's a big thing in the sewer and water land. So that's good. Pothole filling was done. They did do some big blacktop patches on 5th Street and Hickory. And with that, we did borrow the county's roller and tried it out on our own for the first time, and it went very, very well. So that's probably something we'll continue to do in future years. The last thing he has on here is that the cemetery and the campgrounds are all winterized and they will begin leaf and brush pickup next week.
Very good, thank you. Any questions? Number C, 4C, technology library report.
I don't have anything. I have something later on for the library, but I don't have anything for technology. What about you?
Anything more?
No, it was just to discuss the new hiring for part-time.
Okay.
The only thing, Ted, with the technology is that I'm gonna try to start working on the equipment for what we're doing now with council meetings, because our quality is, especially when we're real close to kicking over to the other, if we have a few more rain days or when it finally snows where I got enough time to finally switch it over, but I think that we're gonna experience quite a bit of quality difference from what we're trying to push out, so you know, gonna kinda look at that and see. I was hoping on it, and maybe now is not the time to ask, but do we have any luck on being able to get some of that?
So I did reach out to, what he's referring to is, at one point, there was an article that was written, almost in, and maybe at one time they were doing this, but almost insinuating that Carleton County would have money for the public for technology improvements, from the CARES Act money. I did reach out to the Carleton County EDA just to get some clarification on that, and they are doing projects themselves.
Okay.
Costing about, I'm guessing with their 911, I don't really know exactly what they're doing.
Okay.
But it's not funds that are available to the public, so.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So we'll have to explore some options once we figure out what it would take to kind of get these overhead cameras back to quality that we hopefully can get,
Okay.
so.
Thank you, Rory.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Moving on to 4D, city engineer.
Just a few things I want to touch on. The well house, I'm not sure if everyone has heard by now, but they did begin excavation on the well house, and they ended up finding the old basement to the superintendent's house that used to be on that site. So we were rather surprised. We will see a change order probably next month for additional work there, but it shouldn't be, as of right now, it shouldn't be too terrible. Another thing I want to mention for the wells and well house is that two grants were submitted, one in September, one in October, for the sealing of the old wells. So we'll know if we got that sometime in October and then November. And then they can begin work on that once we figured out if we got them or not. And then the other thing is the Sioux Line Trail. We did approve last week at a special meeting the contractor for that. I haven't heard anything from the DNR, so I don't believe that will happen this year, but hopefully we can talk to them and they'll use that same figure for springtime. But we won't know that either until we talk to them. So I just haven't heard anything one way or the other, so wanted to touch on that. But other than that, everything else is in the minutes, if you guys had any other questions.
You know, one department is the wetlands department for the
Yeah.
Sioux Line Trail, and there really isn't any wetlands with it. It's a ditch, but they're behind all the time on their wetland decisions, so it's just holding up the project.
Yep.
It's nothing specific to the project, it's just the department itself is behind. Moving on to 4E, Chamber of Commerce updates, and we have a guest here tonight. Allison, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for calling me a guest. Lovely to see you, Ted, Katie, and Melissa again. I'm Allison from the Moose Lake Chamber. So we are on winter hours, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 10 to 3. And last month we held our first virtual event, which was a golf event. And we liked how it turned out, and so we plan to do it again next year, as virtual events are probably going to be a new thing in this world. We also have our annual raffle ticket fundraiser, which will be held this Saturday at Gampers, and the drawing's at 7 p.m. And we still do have some tickets for sale. You can come to the chamber office during our winter hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from 10 to 3, which just Friday at this point, from 10 to 3. And then we are also just kind of going into winter mode projects, which really is just working on membership dues, working on our 2021 visitor guidebook, and maybe sort of trying to plan for events for next year, but keeping COVID in the back of our minds and being really flexible to change, which change is good sometimes. We'll see how that goes. And then again, Chamber's here to help and promote local news and events, so please just reach out to me, and I love to help, and again, that's what the Chamber's here for. So that is all.
Thank you very much,
Yep.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison.
Number 5, previously discussed business. I show nothing. Katie, do you have anything in there?
I got nothing.
Nothing. Moving on to number 6, new business, 6A, part-time library assistant position.
So as you guys may remember, the library lost a staff when we reopened after COVID. They've run short-staffed up until this point, and Shelby contacted me asking if we would allow her to hire a part-time position for 1 day a week. She did bring this up to the library board, and they also recommended that. So I did budget for it in 2021 also, and it is a budgeted item for 2020.
So we need a motion.
Do
We have a motion. That's what council. So we'll, second.
Well, second.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
With this, we're going back a long way because we lost the full-time person due to shortening of hours. Part of that was because we did not have enough people going through and utilizing this, and Walt, maybe you can answer this too. Do we know what our customer count is compared to what it was prior to, maybe going back that far as when we went down?
So I don't know that, but I do know Shelby just talked about, somebody asked a very similar question to that. They asked, like, how are we doing, after reopening and whatever, and, overall, the trend is down a bit. But Shelby's trying to do a lot of, like, take and go projects, working with the Arrowhead Library System on some of those new things that have never been done before. A lot of people are calling and requesting their books and just coming to pick them up and go. So not a lot of, I shouldn't say not a lot. The trend has been that people are not sitting there reading, but they are still utilizing the library. I don't have numbers though.
It's more people coming in real quick, picking it up and leaving. There's not so much of people sitting in there reading the books. There hasn't been any families coming in and things of that nature. She said it's down, but she didn't have an actual count of heads. But definitely COVID is definitely having an effect on it.
That's my only question, is when Steve Devine-Jelinski was let go, we let him go because downward trends of 10 years, and we're still at it. What I'm understanding is that we're still at a downward trend, and we're hiring a part-time employee.
So we
for
had
1 day.
we had a lot of changes after Steve left with 2 longtime part-time staff leaving, and so we basically consolidated that position, and that's why Shelby is full-time now. And then when Donna left, I think she worked 2 or 3 days a week. And so this person would only be working 1 day a week. So we are still, I wouldn't say like reducing staff or anything. Well, we are reducing staff, but not quality, I guess.
Okay.
So
There's 2, we only have 2 full-time employees, or 2 altogether, right?
there's 2 part-time employees right now. So she just wants 1 more just in case something happens. The other 2 are sick.
I'm fine with that. I just wanted clarification because people do watch this, and
Yep.
we did make decisions based on numbers. So,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carried. Moving on to 6B, 2020 general election, November 3rd, 2020.
This is just a friendly reminder to get out and vote. The general election, we will be having it here November 3rd. I'll be interested to see how many people vote absentee this year, just out of curiosity. So just a reminder.
the person can still go up to the courthouse, can they not?
Yep,
And without any paperwork, I mean, just as.
they fill it out there, yep,
Yes.
yep.
Very good. 6C, general election canvass.
So we have to set a special meeting to canvass the results of the general election. Something new this year is that they are accepting absentee and mail-in ballots after the election, so long as they're post-dated November 3rd or before. So we basically get two choices on dates, November 12th or November 13th. So I wanted to check with you guys to see what worked for your guys' schedules.
What do they have? You've got 7 days to have people vote in
For the mail,
for the mail.
yeah. That's brand new, that never was a thing before.
So the 12th is a Thursday, and
We don't have to count those that go up.
Oh,
to the
no.
county. I
We
mean,
just, yeah, we don't have to count them.
No, I mean, not the council, but I mean, so the judges at the county.
Not absentee. No.
That's all goes to the county, right?
All the absentee ones do, yep, yep.
so we're looking at
Thursday or Friday.
like at 4 o'clock.
That would work. If that works for you guys.
Yes.
Thursday?
Thursday,
12th,
4
okay.
o'clock. Greg?
Thursday.
Okay.
Okay.
That was the 18th, the same as on here.
Say, pardon?
That was the 18th,
Nope, 12th.
the 12th, okay.
November 12th, 4 p.m. Thank you. Under 6D, November regular city council meeting, moved to November 18th.
Yep, and this is just a reminder that our regular city council meeting for November is pushed back to the following week because of Veterans Day.
Moving on to 6E. This is Resolution 20-10-1, Geo Water Revenue Bond Issuance.
Yes, so this is for the water revenue bond. I believe they're gonna be sending our information to the PFA to get a better rating, to get a lower interest rate, so.
So you need a motion to continue with this.
I do.
Resolution relating to issuance of the general obligation water revenue bond series 2020B. Let's see, covenanting and obligating the city to be bound by and to use the provisions of Minnesota statute section 446A.086 to guarantee the payment of the principal and interest of the bonds. Council?
Do we know what the interest rate is on this at all? I know you said you're gonna try to get a better rate.
I wanna say, at one point it was 1.5 something, but I'd have to double check, cause it fluctuates every day.
It's about the lowest it's.
Yeah, it's.
That's what I'm wondering
It's
on
very,
our other
very low.
bonds,
Yeah.
is there a chance to rebond those other
I can
bonds?
ask.
Because if,
Yep.
I recall them being quite a bit higher.
They were
Probably
around,
save a
somewhere
lot of
around
interest.
3, even
Yes.
maybe 4.
I wonder even if we can do that with some of this, because our sewer bonds, we only have one other water bond, but we have three sewer bonds. So I could certainly ask George.
Thank you. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 20-10-1.
Do you have a second? Good point, Doug, about the interest.
Every once in a while, but
Very good. Greg, did you say second? Thank you, sir. All in favor, say aye.
Alright,
Opposed? Motion carried. 6F, Community Center AC Unit Replacement.
This is just the second AC unit that we budgeted for replacement on. And I did contact another contractor and they never got back to me after 2 months. So that's why there's only one.
The attempt was made, that's
Yep.
what we have to do. So you're looking for a motion,
Correct.
so I have a motion and a discussion.
the only only discussion I have is that we're gonna be adding the 250, I take it, because we have no use for the old air conditioner.
And this was budgeted for in capital, so.
Make that motion to purchase labor materials for $8,974, and also the $250 added to dispose of the old unit.
Is that a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6G, Boss Plow quotes.
In your packet, there are 2 quotes, one from United and one from Northwoods for the plow for Phil's new truck. The reason why Northwoods is significantly less is because they are willing to take in an old Meyer plow that we've had nothing but problems with. So Phil's trying to make them all universal, so they all work with all 3 of the trucks. That was the goal there. And I should say United was not willing to take it on trade.
Very good. Council?
I'll make that motion to purchase it. Looks like it's almost half the price going through Northwoods for $4,467.
Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 6H, plow mount quotes.
So this is the mount for the plow. Technically, United is a bit cheaper, but by the time we pay somebody to drive up there, I don't know how much of a difference it really will be, and while it's already, getting the plow, I would just suggest going with Northwoods. Paying somebody to drive up there to me seems, for $100, I don't know.
Looks like $100
Yeah.
difference. Council, questions and/or motion?
Okay.
Where
Make
is
a motion to
Northwoods?
purchase the
Where is Northwoods?
Yeah, where's the business located?
They are on Industrial Road.
Yeah, so they're a local,
Yep.
local business.
Correct.
I'd rather see the local business get the money.
Yep.
Then Doug made a motion.
Yes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same. Motion carried. Moving on to 6I, Gambling Permit Legacy of Excellence Foundation.
Yes, I believe the Legacy of Excellence was doing some type of a raffle for the Legacy of Excellence Foundation fundraiser. So they are going to be actually drawing at, it looks like Northern Minnesota Eye Care, so they will gambling permit.
Do you have a motion to accept? Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to 7 reports and correspondence. 7A sidewalks, Mr. York. We have a letter from Mr. York. Katie?
Kurt would like to see us do do sidewalks a bit differently in the future. How we currently do them is we give our residents the opportunity to redo their own sidewalks. We pay 25%, they pay 75% so long as they bring a bill up to me. He took advantage of that a few years ago. When we have extra money, say we have an extra $1,000, we then go spend that $1,000 somewhere in the city where it looks terrible. So that's what we've done in the past. He's wanting us to do things a bit differently, and I would strongly suggest us just continuing to do what we are doing because it has been working in the past, in my opinion. So I will leave it up to you guys to.
This
If
is
you would like to see it
correspondence
differently.
for the council to read, and if you have an issue, please bring it up.
Yeah, I do understand what he's saying, but the last part that we just approved was actually an approach from the road. Wasn't somebody else's, so that would have fallen within our right of way anyhow. So, but I understand what you're saying.
I do too. Right.
What I talked to him, see, is and that is, in fact, part of it is that there's nothing out there that people understand and stuff, and when people see us replacing one person's sidewalk and not somebody else's, it creates a distaste, you could say, from some people, that why do some people get favors and not others? If we had a little more on our system that says why we are fixing certain ones, and there are certain ones that should be fixed simply for the purpose of the trees that were planted 50 years ago or better, that have taken up the sidewalk. So that is not the homeowner's problem, but that is actually the city's problem. So I don't think people understand all of what's the directions that the city goes in to try and pick things up, because I mean, it's an expense you're seeing cities spend, and you're not getting it, because I know I could have probably 10 to 20 feet of sidewalk replaced myself again, but, you know. at the
And
moment,
we don't have a large sidewalk budget anyways. I think it's like $2,000, so it's not much. It doesn't go very far, but the little bit it does do, I think that we're doing a good job on chipping away at it.
Well, it's so
each
much
year.
cheaper for us, actually, for money out of
Yeah.
pocket, for us to do it than a homeowner to hire somebody, because what the homeowner will hire somebody to do something, it's gonna be $2,000 or $3,000 for it. And for the city to come in and do it itself is probably $1,000. So, I mean, the city's benefit to a point and stuff, but people don't understand it all.
Right.
We can do a better job advertising in the spring, because right now we're not gonna, but, you know, we could do that, do a little advertising, informing, putting that in the paper and on the website, and see what happens.
Well, people don't even know the fact
Right.
that we will, I mean, someone just replace it and do it, they have no idea that the city will
Right.
pay them 25%.
Right. So a little advertising could go a long way. We could even put it on our channel. So do a little bit in the springtime before actual construction stuff starts, and may have a different response.
It's a public safety issue in a way too, for people
Yeah.
tripping in that. And I also question on how long some of these homeowners would take to repair those sidewalks. They may not have the funding, and those sidewalks may not get repaired for a rather large amount of time. I don't know what the city has for authority to force people into putting in new sidewalks.
The only time that I could see enforcing somebody to is actually in the case of Kurt. He busted up to redo his water and sewer line. So in that case, he's gonna have to replace what he busted up to make those fixes. The only other place would be if we didn't own the sidewalk. So the place I can think of is Lakeshore Drive. We don't own that, I don't believe. Is that correct? We don't?
I think we own them.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
So well then, that would be the only time, is if somebody breaks their sidewalk by, doing home projects and whatever, so.
Yeah, and I'd agree that there are probably people in town that don't realize that they could have 25% of it paid for. So advertising that is a good idea to get that information out there.
Yeah, we can do that in the spring.
Thanks, everyone. Moving on to number 8, committee and board meeting minutes. In the packet is the Moose Lake Area Fire Protection District minutes for Tuesday, September 8th, the Moose Lake Parks and Recreation minutes for September 14th, and the Moose Lake Parks and Recreation minutes for October 5th. Moving on to 9, announcements. Regular Moose Lake City Council meeting Wednesday, November 18th. That's the correct?
Yep.
Okay. That's at 4 p.m. right here, Moose Lake Economic Development Authority, Wednesday, October 21st, 12 p.m. in the City Conference Room. Moose Lake Water and Light Commission regular meeting Tuesday, October 20th at the Water and Light Office. Moose Lake Housing Redevelopment Authority, Monday, November 9th, 11 a.m. at the Hillside Manor office. Moose Lake Area Fire District, Tuesday, November 10th, at 6:30 p.m. at the Emergency Response Center. Moose Lake Park Board meeting Monday, November 2nd. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That is not a
Nope, that's
no
not.
holiday or anything.
No.
Okay, November 2nd, 6:30 p.m. right here. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. We're adjourned.